Representing construction law free consent. In a common law legal system, a contract is an agreement having a lawful object entered into voluntary by two or more parties, each of whom intends to create one or more legal obligations between them. The element of contract such as free consent. In free consent, it has several elements that are misrepresentation, mistake, and undue influence.
Free consent is one of the most important essential elements of a valid contract. The term free consent refers to meeting of free and fresh minds of two parties of an agreement when two parties take and understand of the purpose, subject matter, and terms and conditions of the agreement in the same sense. Undue influence operates where there exists a relationship between the parties which has been exploited by one party to gain an unfair advantage. A contract mistake may happen when a term, definition, word or phrase is not clearly understood in a contract. A contract mistake often occurs when a key term and phrase possesses more than one meaning. A misrepresentation is a false statement of fact or law which induces the representee to enter a contract. Where a statement made during the course of negotiation is placed as a representation rather than a term, an action for misrepresentation may be available where the statement turns out to be untrue.
This case is about the sale of oil. It is involved by buyer and seller. The parties made a contract to buy and sell oil. The buyer thought that he was buying all oil, but the seller did not make any representation as to the quality of the oil. The oil supply was not all oil, and the buyer claimed that he was not bound by the contract. So, from this case, a valid contract had been made and the buyer was liable for the price.
Bassett versus Wilkinson. Bassett was the owner of a farm that had not been used for sheep farming. Bassett told Wilkinson, who is a prospective buyer, that in his judgment the farm could support 2,000 sheep. Relying on this statement, Wilkinson purchased the farm and found that it could not carry 2,000 sheep. The purchaser sought rescission on the ground of misrepresentation. In this case, there was no misrepresentation. This is because a statement as to the capacity of a farm made by a person who had been occupying or working the farm would be treated as a statement of fact. However, in this case, it is not true. Wilkinson knew that Bassett had never raised sheep on the farm. In the circumstance, Wilkinson was not justified in treating Bassett's statement as being anything other than an expression of his.
This case is about Public Finance Berhad vs. Lee Rubber Factories near Berhad on 1994. Facts: the plaintiff, a finance company, entered into an equipment lease agreement, the lease agreement with the first defendant, the defendant company. The second and third defendants, who were directors of the defendant company, were guarantors to the lease agreement under a guarantee date 7 August 1982. The defendant company defaulted on the lease agreement, and on 27 September 1984, the plaintiff obtained judgment in default of defense against all three defendants for the sum of Rm 209,988 and 40 cents together with interest at the rate of 2% per month from the date of default until the date of realization as stipulated in Article 19 of the lease agreement. The second and third defendants applied to set at the judgment in default some 21 years later on the grounds inter alia that the third defendant had signed the guarantee under undue influence from the second defendant, her husband.
Created using Powtoon.